welcome back home. Oh? Did my husband, Jeff, not hear what I said? Welcome home. Dinner's ready. No matter how much I talk to Jeff, he won't respond back to me. Jeff looks a little moody as he sits down to the dinner table while watching the TV. I really don't know what to do, so I just began to put the dinner plates in front of Jeff. My name is Jade. I am 32 years old. I am currently a sales associate in a cosmetics department. I work in a store of my favorite cosmetics brand, and I am very happy about that. And I feel really happy every day that I get to work in an environment like that. I have a husband named Jeff, and we have now been married for 3 years. But we have been dating for 5 years and moved in together right after we started dating. So, we have been living together for 8 years now. My husband was always been very kind and caring to me. And he was a good boyfriend and has been a good husband since we got married. I am the one who is good at house chores. But Jeff helps me with what he can and even cooks for me when I am busy with work. I thought to myself that I had found a really kind, good man until recently. My husband and I met at a same company. I joined the company later on, and my husband had been working at the company already, as he was 2 years older than me. At the time, my husband was my mentor, and I felt like he was a mentor whom I admired for his work ethics and his skills. Little by little, I began to learn my job, and I was trusted by my bosses to do various tasks. Then, I was assigned to the same team as my husband in a new project at the company, and we became even closer. Around that time, my husband and I often went out for drinks and talked a lot about work. We became closer and closer to each other. So we began to date. My husband and I shared a common interest in music, and our favorite bands were quite similar. Because of this, we also went on dates together, going to live concerts and festivals. Since we worked at the same place, we understood each other's work and how busy we were. And depending on the time, we were able to support each other and understand how we felt and how we thought on some things. For a while, we were like that, enjoying our time together and being called the perfect couple at work. But then I began to think about what kind of work I really wanted to do. Of course, I enjoyed my job at that time, and I was blessed with good people at work. But I wanted to be more involved in something I really liked. This desire grew stronger, and I made the decision to quit the company and talk to Jeff about it. He supported my dream and suggested saying, "It's a new beginning for you, Jade, so why don't you leave the company because we're getting married?" And after that, he proposed and said, "Let's get married." I was surprised, but I thought it was very like Jeff and accepted his proposal. I left the company and entered the cosmetics industry, which I had always been interested in. My job started as a sales clerk in a cosmetics department, but I was really happy. I could be involved with my favorite cosmetic brand every day, and more importantly, I could learn more by actually using various products. Even as a salesperson, there's a lot to learn, and the job is very rewarding. And since I was always in a happy mood, I was excitedly telling my husband, "We had this customer today," or "My senior gave me a compliment," and so on. My husband would smile and say, "I see. or
"That's good for you."
And I know I've already said this, but I was really happy. Then one day, after working as a salesperson for about 3 years, I was suddenly called in by my manager. I remember going to the head office extremely nervous because I had no idea why I was called in for. Did I do something wrong, or did I do something to cause unbelievable damage to the company? I went over to my manager with a scared look on my face, and seeing me, he said,
"What are you scared of?"
and laughed. Well, why did you call me in for?
"I want you to join our product planning and development department at the head office."
What? I couldn't close my mouth as I was surprised to this unexpected turn of events. I'm going to be a part of the head office? My manager then said,
"I heard about you from the store manager. He told me that you'd be able to make great use of your abilities in a department that would form the core of the company."
I felt like I was in heaven. It was a dream come true to be promoted in a job I loved. I immediately reported this to my husband when I got home. Hearing this, Jeff had praised me, saying,
"Wow, that's great."
I was going to be working at the head office, and my salary would be much higher than when I was a sales associate. I couldn't help but be very pleased about what was happening. And although the work in the new department was difficult because there was so much to learn, it was still very rewarding. It really moved me to see the actual production of the cosmetics up close at the factory for the first time. And since there was a lot of work to be done at the head office, I had to do overtime every day. I usually returned home around 9 p.m. I'm so sorry. I got home late again. I bought some side dishes from the store, so I'll just make something simple.
Jade, haven't you been neglecting your house chores lately?
Sorry?
If I have to eat late like this every night, my stomach can't really handle that.
I'm sorry. It was the first time that my husband had ever said such a thing to me, so I had apologized to him without really thinking deeply about it. It was true that, until now, I had always arrived home earlier than my husband, and he often came home when I was still cooking dinner for him. And the dinner would be ready just when my husband changed his clothes and ready to relax. But circumstances change, and now I want to put work first. I felt that he should have been a little more understanding, but he had supported me when I decided to change jobs. But after that, my husband's attitude toward me gradually became more and more harsh.
"This dish again?"
What? But you told me that you like it, Jeff.
"You should think about cooking different types of dishes, you know. If it's like this, I'd rather go to McDonald's."
What? But I made it just for you.
"And lately, you're not cleaning around really well. It seems like you changed, huh? All you do is work, and now you don't really care about what's going on in the house."
No, that's not true. I'm trying to do my best both at work and at home.
"Then do better with your house chores."
No way. Then you're the one who should help with the house chores more, Jeff. You've been coming home earlier than me lately anyways. Then my husband widened his eyes and became angry.
"Huh? You better not get carried away." "What? Do you think like you're a big shot or something? You're being arrogant, you know."
Jeff?
Wow, you really pissed me off. Who the hell do you think you are?
Excuse me? I had never seen my husband lose his temper like this before, so I was really confused and could only apologize and say, I'm sorry. That was the end of our conversation that day, and we went to bed separately. My husband slept on the couch. As I was alone in the bedroom, I reflected on the fact that I had indeed been working so much and neglecting my husband and the house chores. The next morning, I made lunch for my husband and myself for the first time in a long time. My husband looked surprised when he saw the lunch, and he said,
"Thanks,"
and took his lunch to work. I was a little relieved at this point, thinking that we had made up, although still a little awkward. And since work was not that busy that day, I left the office without doing any overtime. I went to the supermarket to buy ingredients to cook something really nice for the first time in a while. I cooked one dish after another, hoping to surprise my husband. Then, my husband came home just in time. "Oh, welcome back home." Oh, did my husband Jeff not hear what I said? "Welcome home, dinner's ready." No matter how much I talk to Jeff, he won't respond back to me. Jeff looks a little moody as he sits down to the dinner table while watching the TV. I really didn't know what to do, so I just began to put the dinner plates in front of Jeff. But my husband just eats his food silently without saying anything. He doesn't even look at me, and he just keeps on watching the TV. Today I had some time to cook, so I tried my best. What do you think? I asked Jeff that, but he didn't say anything. Well, I guess he's just ignoring me. And I guess that he didn't forgive me at all for yesterday, huh? Still, what Jeff is doing is a bit too much. Feeling sad, I began to eat the food I cooked while facing Jeff, who was looking the other way. It's so delicious. I was so sad that Jeff didn't respond to anything. My husband kept ignoring me, and I didn't know what to do, so all I could do was also be silent. After that, my husband continued to ignore me, and to my surprise, he ignored me for a whole week. Is this normal for Jeff to ignore me this much, no matter how much my comments annoyed him? I was disappointed that my husband was such a small man, and I was getting used to being ignored. If he doesn't say anything, then I'm free to do as I please. I started working overtime more than usual, and through this process, I started going out for drinks with other people at work. I stopped cooking dinner or making lunch for my husband. Then one day, for the first time in a long time, I was invited out for a drink by a good friend, Steve, who used to work with me. My old workplace was, yes, my husband's workplace. Steve still works at the same department as my husband. I thought it was a good opportunity and asked him how Jeff was doing recently at work. Then, Steve would awkwardly say,
"Oh, he's frustrated because he couldn't get promoted again."
If I remember correctly, a month ago was that time of the year when you get promoted or not in that company. My husband didn't say anything about it, and I had forgotten all about it because I had been assigned to work at the head office at that time in the first place. I then began to tell Steve about my current situation at home. Steve then said,
"That's tough,"
and sympathized with me and said,
"Oh, by the way,"
and began to talk as if he remembered something.
"After you quit the company, I remember Jeff saying, 'After all, I'll be the man of the family finances, so Jay's just fine doing what she likes as a hobby.'"
What? I was surprised to hear that. At first glance, this might be taken as the statement of a man who seems dependable, but it's not. It was just a comment made by an extremely arrogant man. In other words, my husband had always looked down on me and didn't care what I did because I was always looked down by him. But now that I had been promoted and was earning a little more than what Jeff earned currently, he became jealous and started acting that way. My feelings for my husband suddenly disappeared just like that. I had no idea Jeff was such a small man. I no longer cared about my marriage to my husband and immediately started looking for a place to live in. My husband seemed to have assumed that I would snap out of it, and he was beginning to grow impatient with my attitude and ignoring him back. I think I was really irritated, seeing my husband after knowing what I had found out from Steve. Then one day, my husband said,
you know,
and began speaking to me. But I was just about to call the real estate agent at that time, so I coldly replied, "I'm busy, so shut up." My husband said,
"What?"
in a small voice and looked frightened. I ignored him and called the real estate agent. "Yes, I really like that room. Yes, please, I'll go ahead with that contract." When I hung up the phone, my husband asked with a worried look on his face, saying,
"What room are you talking about?"
I had no choice but to talk to him. "I'm going to leave this house."
"Excuse me?"
"I'm sick and tired of being controlled around by your petty pride. So, let's just get a divorce." Saying this, I held out the divorce papers at my husband.
"What? Why divorce?"
"Don't you even know what you did? It's because you were jealous of my career and acted really immature by continuing to ignore me. It's too late for you to talk to me now. I don't want to be with a small, arrogant person like you anymore. Now, sign the divorce papers. Otherwise, I'll hire a lawyer." Seeing me very angry like this, Jeff began to sign the divorce papers as he trembled. And like that, our divorce was finalized. After the divorce, my ex-husband became even more moody and began to pick on the colleagues who were much younger than him more harshly, which was regarded as power harassment within the company, and he was sent to a local branch as a demotion. On the other hand, now that I am free from the stress of my ex-husband, I am able to take on my work with a more refreshed mind, and I feel very happy every day. Love is good for a while, so now I want to devote myself more and more to my work and continue to learn about the cosmetics. Right now, my dream is to sell cosmetics, which I produced by myself at this company. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My husband and his sister treats me horribly. Once we began to live together at in-laws' house, and as a result...
Hey, why is this meal so bland and boring?
You really are useless, Daisy. I mean, Daisy, if you're that useless, then you're just a parasite.
No, you're right. I'm sure she's a parasite.
While saying these horrible things to me, my husband Lance and his sister Mia scoffed at me. Who in the world do you think is doing things around the house and supporting them? I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had enough of how they were treating me terribly. I can't stay any longer at this house with them. I'll show them which one of us is the parasite. My name is Daisy. I am 32 years old and I work at a company. I am currently dating someone. The guy I am dating is Lance, a colleague from the same company who joined the company a little later than me, and it has been almost 2 years since I started dating him. He has always given me the impression of being a bright and likable young man, and I was secretly attracted to him. I heard that Lance had an ex-girlfriend whom he was thinking of marrying before, but they broke up after they were engaged. The reason for breaking off the engagement was that because his ex-girlfriend at the time had been seeing someone else. And after Lance found out that she was cheating on him, he was quite in a shock at that time. He didn't seem to be able to concentrate much on his work, so I used to hear him out a lot at that time. From this, we naturally grew closer, and in the end, Lance confessed his feelings for me and we started dating. Our romantic relationship was going pretty well, and I was beginning to think about marrying him. It had been almost 2 years since we began dating, and we were both at the ideal age to get married. I guess maybe Lance thought the same thing, and he could take the hint since he just recently proposed to me.
Daisy, I want you to marry me.
I was at the height of my happiness when he gave me a ring and proposed to me at a high-end restaurant with a beautiful night view. It was my dream to be proposed like this. You might think it's such a cliche, but to me, it was what I wanted, and I was just happy that maybe he remembered that I had told him about my dream proposal before, even if it was just a coincidence. I was so happy that I immediately accepted his proposal, and we got engaged. After that, we greeted each other's parents, met each of our families, and had a beautiful wedding ceremony. After getting married to Lance, I resigned from my job. I resigned because Lance had asked me to do so.
I want you to be a full-time housewife when we get married.
To be honest, when he first said that, it made me think about it a lot. I loved my job at the time and found it very rewarding. But it's not like I was prioritizing work more, and I wanted to be married to him. So I decided to become a full-time housewife. Once I decided to be a full-time housewife, I had to make sure I did all the house chores properly. I did a lot of cleaning and doing the laundry, and I read a lot of books on cooking and honed my skills. I guess I must have been a perfectionist. I became more and more immersed in doing the house chores and perfecting them by researching how to remove the stains, or how to dry the clothes without having any wrinkles on them, or how to make delicious dishes easily with inexpensive ingredients. I was passionate about the house chores like that, and I was spending my newlywed life happily while having a great relationship with my husband. My husband also seemed satisfied with the fact that I was doing a good job on the house chores. He also enjoys the meals and dishes I cook very much. And 1 year passed in the blink of an eye after we got married. But around this time, I began to feel some negative vibes between Lance and I. It all started when we decided to move in with Lance's parents, Linda and Phil.
My father's legs and back aren't doing so well these days. I'm thinking of moving in with my parents.
What? Moving in together with them? I was surprised to hear Lance's suggestion out of the blue. As for me, I wanted to spend a little more time with Lance as a married couple, but my impression of my parents-in-law was not that bad, and once I heard the situation from Lance, I was worried about my father-in-law, Phil. So I agreed to move in with Lance's parents, and we moved into my in-laws' house right away. Oh, thank you so much for moving in with us, Daisy. It would be a great help now that you're here with us. Please rely on me for anything, okay, Linda? My mother-in-law, Linda, thanked me many times. My father-in-law, Phil, was also apologetic, saying,
I'm really sorry disturbing your newlywed life.
Both Linda and Phil were very kind, and I thought that our life together was going to be fine. Then I saw a woman in pajamas coming down from the second floor. My God, it's only the morning, and what's happening already? You all are being so loud.
Oh, Mia! Long time no see.
Oh, is that you, Lance? It is you, Lance. What's up?
Hehe. From today, I'm going to start living here.
What? Seriously? Yay! She is my sister-in-law, Mia, who looks really happy seeing her big brother. I first met Mia before my husband and I got married, and she was still a college student at the time. Lance and Mia are 5 years apart, and he and I are 3 years apart, so there is an 8-year age difference between Mia and I. Mia had been studying in England since last year and just came back yesterday. I didn't know the details, but it seems that Mia was living at home and will continue to live there after returning back here. I was surprised because I thought we were only going to live with Lance's parents. And I felt a little uneasy. My husband loves Mia, just a little too much in my opinion, and he's very protective of Mia. When we were dating and after we got married, my husband always talked about Mia at least once a day. At the time, I thought he was a nice man who was very protective of his sister. But after seeing him talk about Mia so many times after we got married, I began to think that he was obsessed with Mia a bit too much. So, when we got married, I was glad that Mia had gone to study in England. But I never thought that we all would end up living together like this. But Mia could be a very nice girl. I had my concerns, but for now I wanted to get along well with Mia and decided to get closer to her. As we all started living together, and after seeing my husband off to work, I proceeded with the house chores. It's really great to have you here, Daisy. You are so quick and efficient, so the house chores gets done really fast. Thank you very much. It's because you teach me in a way that I understand how to do it easily, Linda. While Linda and I were happily chatting and doing house chores together, Mia woke up sleepily right before noon. Oh, good morning, Mia. Good morning. You look sleepy. Mia seems to have a hard time in the morning, and she sat on the sofa looking very sleepy. I'll make coffee. As I said that, I made her coffee and gave it to her. Here you go. What about milk and sugar? Oh, sorry about that. How many would you like? One of each, please. I did as I was told and took a stick of sugar and milk. Then, Mia took it, put it in her coffee, mixed it, and drank it. Then, she started looking at her phone while relaxing on the sofa. I wonder if she doesn't work because she just got back. I mean, did she quit her job when she began to study in England? As Linda went into her room to take care of Phil, I decided to talk to Mia to get to know her more. Mia, was England fun? Yes, it was really fun. Mia answers my question while still looking at her phone. Normally, I think it is common sense to stop looking at the phone and concentrate on the conversation, but oh well, let's put that aside for now. What are you going to do now? What kind of work are you looking for? When I asked her that, Mia instantly made a disgusted face. Why are you asking me these questions all of a sudden? What? What, are you saying that I'm in the way since I'm always at home? No, that's not what I'm saying. I just simply got curious what you were going to do after studying in England. But that's got nothing to do with you, Daisy, right? Well, yes, but I was only curious, which is why I asked. Since we're living together now, I want to get to know you more too. There's no need for that, okay? This isn't at all necessary, so don't try to have a conversation with me like that, okay? What? Mia was looking at her phone the whole time while she said that. I was shocked to find out that she had no intention of getting along with me. And yet, Mia would demand saying things like, Hey Daisy, is my lunch ready yet? Or even say, Hurry up and clean my room, and so on. I was so shocked at her attitude, wondering how could she be so demanding after having behaved like that earlier. Since you're not working anyways, why don't you do it? I am not the one who will easily do whatever Mia tells me to do, especially after how Mia was like to me earlier on. I can't have Mia looking down on me like that. As I said this, Mia widened her eyes and glared at me sharply. You're terrible. How dare you have an attitude like that to me? Well, the way you behaved towards me earlier on was also terrible. Don't expect people to be nice to you when you weren't even nice to them in the first place, okay? When I said this, Mia glared at me once again and left the house. She probably went out somewhere to eat. I thought to myself, my goodness, and proceeded to do my chores. But that night, an issue occurred. Welcome home, honey. When I welcomed my husband back home, when he came back home from work, he glared at me with an angry look on his face.
Hey, Daisy! What the hell are you thinking?
Excuse me?
I got a message from Mia, and she was saying that she got bullied and harassed by you, Daisy.
No way. I never bullied or harassed Mia.
I heard that you intentionally didn't cook lunch or clean the room for Mia.
Well, that's because Mia said terrible things to me.
No way! Mia has a really gentle heart. She would never say such terrible things to you.
My husband says this as his face is bright red from anger. Then Mia, who was in the room, came out and jumped into my husband's chest, hugging him, saying something like, Oh, Lance, she made me feel bad.
You must have felt bad. I'm really sorry, Mia. I'm going to make sure and tell Daisy off and be strict with her.
Strict with me? I was just shocked at how my husband overly loved Mia. And I was just really disappointed that my husband would always take Mia's side whenever I would clash and have an argument with Mia. Then, being spoiled by Lance, Mia got carried away and started demanding a lot of things from me. Daisy, I want to eat ice cream, so go buy me some. Oh, and I want you to also get this magazine. So, will you just hurry up and go? Mia would say this to me while lying on the sofa. Mia would completely treat me as if I were her housekeeper because she knew Lance would always take her side whenever something happened between us. I had no choice but to listen to her, but it really bothers me when she makes various demands while I was doing house chores. I mean, to begin with, Mia should go to work since she was in her 20s. But even after a few months had passed since her return, she showed no sign of planning to work. As expected, both Linda and Phil, seeing Mia being like that, said,
I think you've had enough rest, don't you think?
But Mia would say something like this. Well, it's okay, I don't have to work at all. And it wouldn't make any sense. When Linda and Phil asked her what she meant, she said, It's because my brother will take care of me. Hearing Mia's answer, I butted into the conversation. Oh, wait a minute. Please don't ask Lance for money to support you. We have our life to lead too, you know. When I said this, Mia began to snicker and say this. What the heck are you talking about? Lance was the one who said this, you know. He said that he would be the one looking after me, so I don't need to work at all. Hearing what Lance had said to Mia, Linda, Phil, and I were just speechless and in shock. My husband's obsession towards Mia was just too much for me to handle. When I asked my husband about it, he didn't seem offended and admitted to it, saying,
I did tell her that, of course. It's only normal, right?
I don't know if I can be with a person like him anymore. Just as I was thinking this, Linda had suffered a back injury. Apparently, she had injured her back by doing her best and taking care of Phil too much. I got really worried about both Linda and Phil. If I left them alone and divorced my husband, I could just tell that there was no way Mia would be able to take care of them. I mean, Mia doesn't do any house chores and has no intention of taking care of her parents, since it was just a hassle for her. Plus, Lance would only obey to Mia, so I felt that I had to do something about this. So, from then on, I began to take care of Linda and Phil in addition to my daily chores. Both Linda and Phil felt bad that they were putting all the burden on me and told Mia to either take care of them or do the house chores. But Mia would say, "But that's what a married woman does." It would not listen to her own parents at all. Linda and Phil would apologize to me, saying,
I'm sorry for raising our kids like this and for causing trouble to you because of this.
"Oh, you are both not at any fault for this. Now you both should only just think about getting better physically." But taking advantage of the situation, Mia began to use me and demand me things even more. My husband was also not helpful, but instead, he would side with Mia and they both began to treat me terribly.
Hey, why is this meal so bland and boring?
You really are useless, Daisy. You should cook dishes and meals which has a lot of meat and with better taste, since this is just too bland and boring. Well, I cook these meals and dishes while I think about your parents' health.
What, are you trying to go against us?
This is ridiculous. You're just a wife who is our slave. I mean, Daisy, if you're that useless, then you're just a parasite.
No, you're right. I'm sure she's a parasite.
While saying these horrible things to me, my husband Lance and his little sister Mia scoffed at me. Even when Linda and Phil get mad at both Lance and Mia for not being kind or cooperative, the two won't stop laughing at me. Who in the world do you think is doing things around the house and supporting them? I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had enough of how they were treating me terribly. I can't stay any longer at this house with them. I'll show them which one of us is the parasite. And 3 weeks later, I packed my bags and left the house. Mia had recently gone to a beauty salon because Lance had spoiled her and given her money for it. Meanwhile, I decided to carry out a plan I had been working on for a little while. After I finished carrying all my belongings, I laid down in a room which I rented all by myself. I am very happy to be able to spend time at my own pace without being required to do so many things like a slave. As I was relaxing around, I received a phone call from my husband that evening.
Hey, where the hell did you go? How come your things and Mom and Dad's things are all gone?
Well, that's because we all left that house.
What did you say? You all left? Where the hell did you guys all go to?
Well, your parents have already given up on you and Mia and decided to go into nursing care. They don't want to see their ungrateful, uncooperative son and daughter anymore, who treated me really badly. Since they didn't want to give you and Mia their inheritance either, they've spent all their savings and moved into a really luxurious nursing care home. I went on a tour with them to that nursing care facility, and it really is a great place. I was relieved to see that they will be able to live a happy and peaceful life away from both of you.
What? Then where the hell are you?
Oh, I borrowed an apartment, all for myself. I have quite a bit of savings, which I had even before I married you. Besides, I was in a much higher position than you at my previous company, so I earned pretty well.
You've got to be kidding. Who's going to do the house chores then if you're gone?
Why don't you just make Mia do that?
But Mia can't even cook. She said that even holding a knife is too scary for her.
Then I guess you'll have to do it. Oh, and I got a message from Phil, and he told me to tell you that they sold the house that you're living in right now, so you both will have to move out soon. If you don't move out and resist, you'll either get evicted or arrested.
What? You're joking, right?
You both have to move out by the end of the month, so that's in 2 days, I guess.
No way!
Also, I'm claiming compensation for the emotional distress you caused me, so please check the contents of the certified letter which I'll be sending to your company.
Why are you even sending it to the office?
because I have to let everyone in the company know that it's all your fault. It's also a nice reminder to the people at the company that they shouldn't promote you to be a boss. My husband says something which I couldn't hear really well since I couldn't really care less. He probably must have realized the gravity of the situation and was getting depressed. I could also hear Mia screaming something over the phone in the background, but I ignored her and hung up. I then blocked my husband's number and left the rest to my lawyer. After that, I successfully got a divorce from my husband, and he also paid me alimony, even though it was a small amount. According to my ex-colleagues, whom I kept in touch with, word of my ex-husband's divorce spread quickly through the company, and they were calling him how obsessed he was with his own sister, and as a morally harassing jerk, and they all gave him the cold shoulder. And now he is living with his dearly beloved Mia in an inexpensive apartment. But since Mia has been selfish and spoiled all this time, Lance was gradually getting tired of her both mentally and physically. Linda and Phil seem to be living comfortably in a very nice nursing home, and when I go to see them once in a while, they greet me, and they both look really healthy, which really is a relief. I really do hope that they would stop supporting their ungrateful children and spend more and more money for themselves from now on. Meanwhile, I have successfully found a new job, and I am enjoying the life of living alone while working really hard for my job. I don't want to be in love for a while, so I'm going to devote myself to work and try my best to get promoted and enhance my career. Both Lance and Mia, who are really selfish and obsessive, are really the worst. I do hope they both go straight to hell. Don't they owe anything to their own parents for providing them for them until now? I'm really sorry that Daisy had to be pushed around by the two of them. I am so glad that Daisy is no longer with those horrible people. I wish Daisy, Linda, and Phil a happy and peaceful life from now on. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
I was in an accident on my sister-in-law's wedding day. Divine punishment befalls my husband, who forced me to attend.
Today is my dear sister-in-law's wedding, but here I am lying in a hospital bed. On the way to the venue, I got into a collision with a car that ran a red light. Why does this have to happen on such an important day? I rarely ever get into accidents. Amidst all this, I received an angry call from my husband.
Where are you now?
I had an accident, and I am at the hospital.
What? It's my sister's big day. Do you understand that?
I understand, but...
Shut up. Listen to me. You crawl if you have to, but you must attend. Got it?
Yes. I told the doctor, who tried to stop me about the situation, and headed to the venue in a taxi in my battered state. When my husband noticed my presence, he criticized me in my hospital gown.
What the heck are you wearing? Are you trying to ruin my sister's big day? You really are a loser.
I had just been thinking that maybe I shouldn't have come at all, when things unexpectedly took a turn. My name is Nora, and I am 33 years old. After graduating from a technical school, I obtained a qualification as a wedding planner and now work for a bridal production company, supporting weddings. I began to want to become a wedding planner in my high school years. When I attended my cousin's wedding, I was captivated by the beautiful atmosphere. Not only the bride and groom, but also all the other guests were able to smile. When I found out that there was a job that could create such an atmosphere, I began to want to work in that field. My long-cherished dream has come true, and I am now doing the job I have always wanted to do. There are people who have many meetings before the wedding, and there are those who leave everything to us. Among the various couples, I always try to make it the best wedding for them. 2 years ago, I got married as well. My partner's name is Troy, who was a classmate in high school. We were in the same music club, but we didn't start dating back then. We reunited at a high school reunion a few years ago and developed a relationship that led to marriage. At first, after getting married, I was very happy to be living the life I wanted with the person I loved. However, now that 2 years have passed since their marriage, my true feelings have changed. I think that I should not have gotten married. This feeling started in the first year of our marriage. Although we had small arguments on a daily basis, there were times when we didn't talk to each other all day long. One day, I had to work overtime, which was unusual, and came home after 8 p.m. Before leaving the workplace, I checked my smartphone and saw that my husband had called me dozens of times. I called him back, but there was no sign of him answering. When I became anxious and hurried back home, there he was, lying on the sofa. I ran to him, worried, and called out to him, "Hey, Troy, are you okay?"
Huh? What do you mean?
"Well, I saw a bunch of missed calls from you. So I thought something might have happened."
What? Don't you know why I called you?
My husband is staring at me in a bad mood, and eventually, he started fizzling out of frustration. I couldn't help but sense his irritation. I had no idea why my husband was so angry. Did I inadvertently do something to upset him? With that thought in mind, I asked him hastily, "Hey, did I do something? Did I do something to make you so angry?"
Huh? It's because you came home late. You are a wife, but you prioritize your work over your husband?
Troy? My voice trembled, involuntarily, as I saw my husband's demon-like expression. It was the first time I had ever seen him like this, so I didn't know how to respond. Ignoring my fear, my husband clicked his tongue intentionally and gave me a disdainful look, then spoke to me roughly as if he couldn't be bothered.
Listen, you don't have enough awareness as a wife. I married a woman like you who's nothing special. You should be grateful to me.
Troy, what are you talking about? We got married because we love each other.
Huh. There is no way that's true. I only talked to you at the reunion because you had a better face than most.
What? That's a lie, right?
It doesn't matter. You ended up falling in love with me anyway. Well, I thought you were more capable of doing household chores. But that was a miscalculation.
That's terrible. What do you think of me? I'm not your housekeeper. It sounds like my husband is giving a cold, menacing glare as I try to argue back with him. I was visibly shaking, and he seems to be looking down on me.
Listen, you are in the position of someone who was married off. Therefore, you should be grateful to me. Got it?
What? We're not an equal couple?
That's just on the surface. I didn't really fall in love with you or anything like that.
Then what's the point of being married? Let's get a divorce right now.
Are you sure about that? Your parents were happy about this marriage, weren't they? Plus, you get along well with my family. Can you really just decide to get a divorce all of a sudden like this?
As my husband uttered those words, my chest tightened with a strong grip. He was right. My parents were overjoyed with our marriage, and his parents also treated me like their own daughter. Even his sister adored me. Could I really make them all sad with my selfish feelings? I couldn't hurt the people who cared for me. My husband knew my kind-hearted nature well, and that was why he could make such a strong statement. He was taking advantage of my kindness. His arrogance angered me, but I didn't have the courage to stand up to him. Since then, my husband treated me like a housekeeper. If I came home late, he complained. And if I wasn't prepared for meals or bath on his schedule, he would yell mercilessly. He even threw things at me when he was in a bad mood. Every time he did that, I poured out my thoughts and feelings into my diary. I wrote down what he did and said, and how I felt at the time. By recording these events in detail, I was able to calm my emotions. This kind of married life continued for 2 years. I had gotten used to it, but my heart was still worn down. One day, some happy news came to me. Huh, marriage? I involuntarily asked back in a loud voice. The person on the phone was my husband's sister, Iris. Yes, I'm getting married, Iris happily told me over the phone. Oh, congratulations, Iris. I'm so happy for you. Thank you very much. And there's something I want to ask you, Nora. Something you want to ask me? I'll do anything I can for you. Actually, we haven't decided on a wedding venue or anything yet. So I really want to consult with you as a wedding planner. With me? Of course. I'll be glad to do it. Really? Thank you, sis. I love you. The next day, I started to carve out time for my beloved sister-in-law and began to plan her wedding. I knew well that there should be no difference in how I treated my clients, but I still wanted to provide the best wedding possible for Iris, who I cared about deeply. After about 5 months, the preparations for the wedding were completed without a hitch. I don't work at the wedding venue, so my job as a bridal production company ends here. But this time, I can attend the wedding ceremony that I supported as a relative. There's nothing more joyful than this. Making my sister-in-law's wedding the best it can be, and being able to attend it myself, has a significant meaning to me. On the day of the wedding ceremony, I had some business to attend to at work, so I was heading to the venue separately from my husband. After quickly finishing my work at the company, I headed straight to the venue. While looking at my watch and crossing the pedestrian crossing, a car came running towards me, ignoring the traffic signal, and collided with my body. With a dull sound of thud, my consciousness was lost. When I came to, I was lying on the hospital bed. My body was in pain, and bandages were wrapped around my arms and legs. That's right, I was in an accident at that time. Fortunately, I didn't seem to have broken any bones. However, there is a dull sensation in my right foot, and I cannot move it well. For now, I called the nurse and waited for her arrival. The nurse confirmed that I had awakened and called the doctor.
You're Nora, right? Do you remember colliding with the car that ran a red light at the intersection?
Yes, I do. It was a dark green car, I believe.
Yes, that's correct. Fortunately, you didn't suffer any serious injuries. That's great news. The numbness you're feeling in certain area should improve gradually with physical therapy during your hospital stay.
I see. Thank you very much. The doctor leaves the room, and I laid back down on the bed. It's then that I remembered something important. Wait, isn't today Iris's wedding? As I search through my bag for my phone, it starts ringing.
Hey, Nora!
Where are you and what are you doing? Frantically responding to the call, my husband shouts at me over the phone.
Iris's wedding is about to start, you know.
Troy, thank God you called. Honey, it's perfect timing. Actually, I got into an accident on my way to the wedding.
What? An accident?
Yeah, so I don't think I'll be able to make it today. My husband yelled at me, as if my words were a nuisance. His voice was piercingly loud.
Don't you dare mess around. Today is my sister's big day. You know that, right?
I know, but right now...
What? Shut up. Listen, even if you have to crow, you're gonna attend the ceremony. Got it?
But... I realized that there was no point in explaining further, since he wouldn't listen anyway. Talking to him would be futile. I felt our marriage crumble before my eyes, and I became aware of this. I had had enough. Normally, I wouldn't be able to attend the ceremony in my current state. However, I desperately wanted to be there for Iris's wedding. But if I did attend, would it mean we would continue in this deteriorating marriage? As I pondered this question, I slowly got out of bed, grabbing my bag, and left the hospital room. As I stumbled down the hallway, a nurse stopped me as expected. I explained the situation to my doctor and managed to hail a taxi in my battered state. 30 minutes later, I arrived at the wedding venue, and people began to stir at my appearance. That was when I finally realized that I had come to the ceremony in my hospital gown. However, there was no time to change now. I decided to quietly sit in a corner until the ceremony began. As I sat on my chair, thinking about this, I heard someone call my name.
Nora!
My husband runs towards me with a demonic expression on his face. He looks down at me and says coldly,
What the heck are you wearing? Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. I came here in a hurry from the hospital, so I ended up in this outfit.
Don't talk back to me. Huh. Come on. It's supposed to be the big day for Iris. And you're ruining the mood with your ugly face.
I'm sorry.
Seriously. Listen, you are not allowed to say a word today. Just behave yourself. Got it? Oh, okay.
As I nod, my husband looks down at me with a triumphant expression. I thought to myself that I would have been better not to come in the first place if it was going to be like this. That's when Iris, her face red, appeared. Hey, Troy! What was that just now? Troy notices her and asks,
Oh, Iris, what's wrong? Are you ready?
Never mind that. Just answer me. What was that conversation just now? Why is Nora in such a state here?
Listen, she got into an accident on her way here. She's so clumsy. But don't worry, I made sure to bring her to the venue for you.
Huh? An accident? Is it true, Nora? I slowly nod at my sister-in-law staring at me, and then her face turns red as if on fire, and she hits my husband with all her might. With a dry sound of a slap, my husband's head tilts. Troy holds his left cheek and snaps at Iris.
Hey, Iris!
What the hell are you doing? That's my word. What the hell is going on here? Why did you forcefully bring her here, even though she's in such state? Are you crazy or something?
Wait a minute, Iris. I did it for your sake.
How is this for my sake? My beloved sister is in such a terrible state. Did you think that I would be happy seeing her like this?
Well, that's...
My sister-in-law gives my husband a piercing glare, and Troy flinches at her intense gaze. I can't believe my own brother would do something like this. It's inhumane.
Iris, you don't have to say it like that.
What? I'm controlling my emotions here and being mindful of the situation. You are a scumbag. You're not even part of our family. You don't even have to come to the wedding.
Why? I did it for your sake.
My husband turned to me, tears welling up in his eyes, and desperately clung to me.
Nora, please say something to her too. That I did it for Iris. Right, Nora? Come on.
What? Why me?
Isn't it obvious? If you hadn't gotten into an accident, we wouldn't have had to do this.
My husband, instead of acknowledging his own mistakes, blamed me for getting into an accident. I took a deep breath and said to my husband, "So, it's my fault that I got into an accident? That's what you think?" I wanted to be here as soon as possible too. It's Iris's important wedding after all. I couldn't hold back my emotions. Despite that, instead of comforting me, you told me to crawl over here. What do you think I am? Some kind of joke?
Well, that's...
I don't need you to tell me. I care about Iris and wanted to participate in the wedding from the beginning. That's why I listened to your stupid demands and crawled my way over here.
Calm down. It's a wedding today. We can talk later.
Shut up. I can't forgive you for trampling all over someone's feelings like this on a day like today. I have no intention of continuing to be married to a person like you any longer. I'm not your maid. Do whatever you want by yourself. I said that and headed towards the exit. My sister-in-law Iris supported my back as if to comfort me. Hey, Nora, I'll take a lot of pictures of the wedding for you to see later. Iris. With tears in my eyes, my sister-in-law continued. Don't cry. I want you to see me at my happiest more than anyone else, okay? Yeah, thank you. I got back in a taxi and returned to the hospital. The attending doctor scolded me severely, and I ended up being hospitalized for several days. Later, I heard from Iris that my husband couldn't attend the wedding ceremony. Relatives who had overheard our conversation became furious and rained down insults on Troy. They even said that he wasn't a member of the family and he was kicked out of the venue. With encouragement from Iris, I decided to divorce my husband. The diary where I had written down his harassment turned out to be advantageous for the divorce. Although all of this happened after I was discharged from the hospital, I no longer wanted to give up on my life. I couldn't sacrifice my precious life for a man like him. I will be busy with the divorce process for a while, but I still believe I will eventually be happy and continue to fight for it.
The pet camera captured footage of the affair between my husband and an unexpected person. All of the relatives watched the video and...
It happened during the memorial service. When I checked the pet camera installed in my house, an unbelievable scene came into view. Hey, is it okay to do this? Annabelle will cry, won't she?
It's fine. It's boring even if I do it with her.
Why are Eddie and Candace together? I couldn't believe my eyes. 2 naked people were on my sofa. I involuntarily squinted my eyes. I never thought that I would witness my husband and my sister's affair on the day of my grandfather's memorial service. The 2 of them, completely unaware of the camera's existence, continued their conversation.
It's uncomfortable to be with Annabelle. I can't do what I want, you know?
I understand. My parents are also neurotic and nitpicky. So, they're only getting along well with Annabelle. But, well, there's also the inheritance issue, so we have to be clever about it.
Yeah, you're right. I should have married you, Candace. Even in bed, you're the best.
My sister kissed my husband's cheek with a smile. My husband Eddie also turned his hand towards my sister, letting out a careless voice. I almost dropped my tablet. Among the relatives who were chatting amiably, my brain, which had witnessed such a thing alone, was not angry but calm. I quickly turned up the volume on my tablet, and at the same time, my sister's voice resounded. Immediately afterwards, the relatives all turned towards me. My name is Annabelle, and my husband is Eddie. We live together as just the two of us. Eddie is a company employee, and I am a housewife, leading a very ordinary life. As for children, we have decided not to have any for now, because Eddie's work is busy. In return, I brought Marley, a Pomeranian from my parents' house. Eddie also readily agreed, so we became a family of 2 humans and 1 dog. It was lively with Marley around, and I also felt more at ease. Moreover, we became friends with our in-laws who lived nearby because of our dogs. They had a Maltese named Belle, who was very friendly. They quickly became accustomed to me and Marley, and I started talking a lot with our in-laws. We started going for walks together and going to the dog park. However, a few months ago, Marley passed away due to illness. Since Marley, who was my emotional support, crossed the Rainbow Bridge, I became really depressed. I couldn't do much of the housework even though I was a housewife. Eddie didn't say anything, but he didn't cuddle up to me either. However, my in-laws were worried about me and invited me to take walks with Belle or come over to their house. While being saved by my in-laws' kindness and Belle's loveliness, I slowly recovered. But I still couldn't tidy up Marley's toys and pet camera. I sigh while looking at the stuffed animal with Marley's paw print, feeling like if I cleaned them up, Marley would really be gone. Then, the incident happened on a clear day when I was vacuuming. The doorbell rang, and I thought it might be a delivery. I looked at the monitor. Candace? Hey, Annabelle, are you there? Open up. I immediately recognized her as my sister, who was wearing a dress that revealed a lot of skin and showed off her beautiful face. My sister and I did not look alike or share any similar traits in personality, and we didn't get along well. Furthermore, my sister had a bad habit of taking things that did not belong to her, including my boyfriends. I had confronted her multiple times after she had taken my boyfriends, but she always responded with, "Isn't it the fault of the one who is easily swayed?" without any hint of remorse. I had thought that things would finally calm down after my sister got married and moved far away, but I still felt uneasy as I reluctantly opened the door. My sister greeted me with a smile, wearing bright red lipstick that looked like rose petals. It only served to make me even more upset. "I came because I returned to my parents' house." "What? Did you come back because you got divorced?" "It's not that serious. We just had a little argument." "Well, I'm coming in." Saying that, my sister takes off her high heels and strides in. She used to avoid coming to the house because she disliked animals. But she must have heard from our parents that Marley was gone. Ignoring my bitter expression, my sister happily looks around the room, inspecting every nook and cranny. "This is a nice room. Isn't Eddie's family home nearby?" "Yes. It's about halfway between my family home and Eddie's family home." "Huh. Building a house near your husband's family home. It's quite daring, isn't it?" While making stinging remarks, my sister looked at the wedding photo displayed on the shelf. Suddenly, She traced her finger over Eddie's face, and I felt a chill run down my spine. She's not planning to steal my husband, is she? I thought, but then quickly reconsidered. My sister was into muscular men, and Eddie was quite skinny, so he was probably not her type. Despite knowing this, I felt uneasy watching my sister's back. A few days after her arrival, we had a family event, my grandfather's memorial service. My in-laws also offered to help. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for the trouble. I had business dealings with your grandfather, and I was planning to participate in the first place. That's why I thought it would be better to help. I really appreciate your help. I want my sister to learn from her. I don't have time to spend on the deceased, you know. After that, it seems that my sister went somewhere saying so. As strange as it seemed, it might be better than being caught up in the situation with my sister. After the memorial service was over and we were preparing for the meal, I was approached by my cousin's children. They said they wanted to see Marley. Their innocent words made my heart ache a little, but I couldn't blame the children for it. Marley has gone to heaven. But we have photos and videos, so let's look at those, okay? I handed them the tablet and briefly explained how to use it. The tablet contained a lot of footage from the pet camera and videos of Marley that I had taken. The children immediately became quiet and were glued to the tablet screen together. I went into the kitchen to help my mother. I was about to bring some drinks when I noticed the gas stove. Someone had apparently left the kettle boiling on the stove and forgot to turn off the heat. As I tried to put out the fire in a panic, I accidentally burned the sleeve of my morning clothes. Oh no! Fire! What? Fire? Just as I thought I heard my mother's voice, suddenly water was thrown at me. As I widened my eyes in surprise, my mother, who seemed flustered, came closer. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Because I heard you say fire. Oh no, you were soaking wet. What should we do? It's okay, Mom. I'll have Eddie bring me some clothes from home. I'm sorry. Are you okay? Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm gonna make a phone call. Eddie was also planning to come to the family event. But due to a last-minute work emergency, he had to take a nap and was planning to join later in the evening. I thought that he would be awake by this time, so tried calling him, but he didn't pick up the phone. However, our house was too far to walk. Then I remembered about the pet camera. If he was awake, the camera in the living room would capture him. If not, I would just call him until he wakes up. I took the tablet from the kids and opened the app. The camera showed a figure on the living room sofa. Oh, Eddie's awake? I thought to myself, and was about to call him when another person appeared on the screen. Huh? Is that Candace? When I zoomed in, there was no mistaking it. It was my sister. I plugged in my earphone and listened to the audio. Hey, is it okay to do this? Annabelle will cry, won't she? It's fine. It's boring even if I do it with her. Why are Eddie and Candace together? I was completely frozen by the shocking video captured by the pet camera. Eddie was shirtless, and for some reason, my sister Candace was wearing a white coat and posing as a female doctor. They were sitting on the sofa with a sense of intimacy that seemed like they were lovers. I never imagined that I would see my husband and my sister's affair on the day of my grandfather's memorial service. The two of them didn't even notice the camera and continued talking. Being with Annabelle makes me uncomfortable. I feel like I can't do what I want. I understand. My parents are also neurotic and nitpicky. So, they are only getting along well with Annabelle. But, well, there's also the inheritance issue. So we have to be clever about it.
Yeah, you're right. I should have married you, Candace. Even in bed, you are the best.
My sister kissed Eddie on the cheek with a satisfied expression, and Eddie put his arm around my sister. I struggled to hold on to my tablet, feeling like I was about to drop it. I can't believe this. I absolutely can't forgive these two. As the two of them blatantly began to get intimate, I couldn't help but screamed. Just as I was about to burst into the house, I heard a loud noise from behind me. I took off my earphones and quickly turned around, only to see my mother-in-law with a pale face standing there. This is my son and your sister, right? Well, about that, I don't intend to hide anything, but I don't want to upset my mother-in-law. However, as I tried to approach her, my earbuds accidentally came out. Along with the sound of my sister and Eddie's intimacy, the screen clearly showed my sister with her hand on Eddie's pants. I panicked and tried to stop the video, but it was my mother-in-law who stopped me. I looked at her, not understanding her actions, and she shook her head with a pale face. Don't stop. This will be evidence, so let's keep it all on record. She acted quickly from there. She immediately asked both my father-in-law and my parents to watch the video, and instructed my cousin to take their children to another room. As everyone gathered to watch the footage, the two of them began to spew out horrible words one after another. My family are all country bumpkins. I'm only interested in their money. Marriage is too boring. And so on. It's all things that make me want to cover my ears. After a while, my father-in-law stood up with a bright red face. Come on, I'll drive. We all nod and head towards my house. Of course, the camera is still recording. When we arrive at the house, the living room lights is on. As we approach the entrance, we hear a loud voice that seemed to be announcing that things are happening right now. Annabelle, you stay behind. My father-in-law took the key from me, and I stepped back as instructed. My mother-in-law patted my shoulder sympathetically, and it made me feel slightly better. When we entered the room, my sister was straddling Eddie on the sofa. Eddie, what the heck are you doing? What, Dad? My sister immediately realized that she's in trouble and tried to run away with her clothes, but our father caught her. She tried to escape for a while, but eventually calmed down after our mother slapped her. Our mother looked at my sister with bloodshot eyes, which made my chest tighten. After that, my sister and Eddie were made to sit in the living room and explain the whole situation. My sister was initially drawn to Eddie's income. He was a type she had never dated before. But she was also bored with married life and just wanted to try something new. On the other hand, Eddie had always been interested in older women and cosplay. Even after marrying me, he didn't change his hobby. So, he easily accepted my sister's invitation. It was a truly unbelievable reason, and we all felt completely helpless. I can't believe it! You still haven't cured your habit of touching other people's things. It's his fault for being so easily swayed. That's enough. You are at fault for seducing my husband. Grow up.
Yeah, it's your sister's fault, not mine, right? So you forgive me, won't you?
What? There is no way I'll forgive you, you pervert. Several months had passed since that stupid incident, and I began attending a grooming school to obtain my qualification as a trimmer. Although there was a lot to learn, it was still enjoyable to be involved in something I liked. There were also people at the school who had gone through divorce, and we quickly became friends. Afterwards, I demanded compensation from my husband and my sister, and divorced him. As for Eddie, he lost his job due to his father's connections and was heavily criticized in the workplace because of the reason. He lived with my sister for a while, but they soon had a falling out and broke up. As for my sister, she works in the entertainment industry and often changes jobs. She is still self-centered, which makes it difficult for her to keep a job for very long. Meanwhile, my in-laws still treat me kindly. Annabelle, it's been a while since we finished moving. Would you like to come and visit? Yes, I'd love to. I also want to see Belle. You know what? Belle has been very popular lately. My in-laws left their house and started a new life in a newly built apartment near a dog park. With this opportunity, my mother-in-law started an SNS account to share Belle's daily life, which has become very popular. Belle has now become a celebrity in the town. I pat Marley's head on my cell phone screen as I wait for my next class to start. I used to find it difficult to look back at the photos. But thanks to the pet camera and Marley, I found out Eddie's infidelity. I believe that Marley cut off that bad relationship for me. Marley, thank you. I love you. I told my beloved family and took a new step forward.